welcome back to this episode of the Level Design Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Drew, and I am joined by Command Studios' Valentina Crisostomu. Hello, Valentina. How's it going?
Hi everybody. It's been going great. I've been working on a top secret project that is not really that secret, but
everyone's project is top secret, right? Everyone's like, "What have you been doing this week?" I can't tell you unless we sign NDAs.
But I've seen yours on Twitter now. So
So it's it wasn't actually top secret. I was lying. See, I was so like
no, but
into
what
this
you're
top
doing
secrecy.
on it.
What I'm doing on it, I cannot say that. But we've been working on the horror game together. So that's all the news I've got really. I don't have any interesting news about myself.
That's an interesting side. And also joining me, and you might have heard him in the background, is the lovely Jonathan Wilson, Senior Games Designer at Us2 Games. Hello, sir. How are you keeping? Been busy?
I'm good. Yeah, always busy. Still, unfortunately, like Valentina of mine, I can't talk too much, but it's exciting to see it come together. It's exciting to be working with the team at Us2 again as well. There's always new stuff going on. And actually finding time to play games, which is something I haven't done for a while, which is quite nice.
Yeah. What? Time? What's time?
I know, it lasts forever.
Yeah, enjoy it when you can. I mean, it's been ages since I've played a game, I have to admit, and I feel very bad hosting a level design show and and not having enough time to play games or analyze games or anything this week. But hey, soon a bit more time will come in. But joining us in this episode is the wonderful Tommy Norberg from the Game Assembly in Stockholm, right? Or is it Malmö? I see there's two places.
There's actually two places. So right. It's Malmö and Stockholm. I actually educate a little bit on both sides, but mostly Malmö.
Okay, awesome.
Malmö is a city in the south of Sweden, that is.
Yes, right. Yeah. I don't think there's another Malmö. It's coastal town.
Everybody knows where Malmö is. I mean, it's most world famous village there is.
True.
And you're there as a level design teacher, and you've come here to teach us your knowledge, sir. Spread the knowledge to the world.
Well, it takes a little bit longer than that.
So, we're expecting one podcast. Yeah, one podcast and all the knowledge.
You're pros already, but
we're going to distill it. Yeah, we'll distill it for our audience and put it out there. Yeah, but so you literally teach level design. There is a course dedicated to that aspect, which I haven't seen in other universities. I've seen like game design, the art related stuff, but never the level design as a course.
No, it's quite uncommon. Most of the cases is game design, and then they can branch off to be level designers. Mm-hmm. And it's not even really supported within the structure of the school on most other schools. Mm-hmm. But we focus solely on level design. I don't actually teach much game design at all. So I just I see level design as the foundation of everything. So if you're a good level designer, then you ultimately you become a game designer as well. So a lot of my students, when they go out on their internships, they actually go straight into game design. Some of them, most of them to level design, but some actually jump on the game design train.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just saying that, I think it's fascinating and really good to see that you do a course dedicated to level design, because it's like Mark said, it's usually a subset, or you do it as a module in your university course. And I can even think back when I was still at university, we weren't taught level design directly like in any module. It was just something you would have to do when you did a project or you did a team project or things like that, and it involved a lot of research on your own, and then you realize how big of a subject level design is, and this could be my degree right now. But so it's good to see there is actual courses out there now focused in that specialist area.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard to become somewhat adequate, somewhat good, if you could word it like that, in level design. So it's just trial and error, basically, continuously trekking on, making level after level after level until you kind of grasp the fundamentals. So the entire process is spanning over 2 years. And then on top of that, they have an internship. So they actually practice with different courses, taking a look at environmental art and storytelling and the scripting part and all the framework stuff and everything in individual chunks. So we have a lot of different bite-size chunks for them to eat and continuously grow. But yeah, it's hard and it's absolutely not something you should do in just breeze through it and just do one course or two, or maybe just as you say, just make the levels for the game, but you're really just focusing on the game design, and then you just happen to do the level design that I see in a lot of other school structures. So yeah, it's a little bit unique.
With the bite-sized chunk approach you were talking about, it's like, is there an even distribution to like technical versus those, I guess, that are more focused on layout and composition design, or is it a more of a universal split? Because obviously when you go into industry, your role usually mixes both of those things quite heavily. Like most companies don't always hire the technical LD versus the like environment art, like LD sort of thing.
Do you think that's the spectrum? There's like the technical LD and the environment art
and then everything in between. We're getting more and more, like each year for each new class that we push out into the industry, there's more and more spearhead knowledge like this. You need to know some specific things very, very good, but you shouldn't be a generalist. So the bigger studios demand that, for example, nowadays you have technical level designer. That wasn't a thing a couple of years ago. No one had really heard about that. Then maybe you had a technical designer, maybe, but most of them were like technical artists or just
or tools artists,
or just programmers.
Right.
Tools time, like the programming aspect of it. So actually having a technical level designer just fixing, like scripting a container so the container works, but then someone else actually places the container into the level. That's actually quite new in the industry.
The more the industry grows, especially in AAA, the more job like opportunities arise. Like we have, like you said, technical level designer that didn't exist, but now because the work is distributed between so many thousands of people, sometimes in one studio, you don't want to just generalize level design and do a bit of everything. You'll just be working on one specific thing for like 3 years, and so you become a specialist basically in a very like in a concentrated area. It's very different from indie development, though, right? So,
in indie it's way more broad, but we try to have the entire package. So, since the education is so long, I tackle all the different avenues. So, we do technical level design, and we do more towards the environment art, and we also do the basic building blocks of level design, like the generalist, the jack of all trades. And then at the end, when they start building their portfolios, they get to kind of specialize themselves and choose that, this technical bit is really interesting, so I'm going to pursue that a little bit deeper and deep dive into that. And then they can portray themselves as a technical designer or a technical level designer, or an environment artist or a game designer, even that. So I try to be open-ended like that, but the original question was if I kind of divide up the courses and the teaching. Yeah, definitely. So I have basically 3 big building blocks. That is level design and art and tech. So, and then I focus in on those courses. Like, okay, now we're in a technical course. You should still do level design. You need to make maps, but now we're gonna put some life into them with technical skills, like make that door opening sequence really, really nice, or make those enemies appear into the level like really nice. And we're taking a look at the AI and those kind of quite hardcore, deep dives into technical aspects as well. A lot of stuff that they won't really use actively when working as level designers at the companies, but the know-how, actually knowing how the AI works. Okay, I have actually scripted a functioning AI that can roam around and actually take cover and shoot it. Not a single one, well, actually a few of them who do that, actually implement AI, but most of them don't actually implement the AI. But they know how, so therefore they can talk to the people and address problems. So this dude don't react properly at this cover node. They can know what's going on because they know all the backs.
That's the important thing, right? When you're at a university, you wanna you specialize like you mentioned, but you also want to know, like you said, why doesn't this enemy take cover? Something maybe that I didn't place correctly in my level, like the nodes, or why doesn't this like car travel properly on the road? Maybe because I didn't place the road nodes correctly, and or maybe they're reversed or something like that. So it's just a way to communicate with other people. Just having an idea. I think that's actually a great point, because a lot of the times junior designers, when they join a company, each company is different, obviously, but then you don't know how things work together. You just know what you've learned, and that's about it. But it's always good to know, hey, what does it mean to place items? What does it mean if you have AI? What does it mean if things are flying? And all of that, even just a little bit, then you'll know what problems can arise and whether that's something you can solve or not.
Yeah. And then if we stay on the technical part a bit, it's growing more and more important. So even if you pursue to be more of an environment artist, you will still be confronted with really, really hardcore technical stuff. Like everything is node based nowadays, basically. So you have to know the backbones of things. So if you can script in a visual language, you can apply that in all the different avenues. Like if you're really hardcore technical person, or if you're just a baseline level designer, like the know-it-all, or if you're going more towards the art style, you still need those skills. But then the deeper thing is that, now you can actually talk to people and address problems properly.
Right. Because this was something that kind of a while back I was involved in some conversations. I'm not going to get anyone into trouble by saying where and with whom, that it was kind of like industry trying to drive what the content of courses was. And I said, well, industry will want specialists to, especially AAA, right? They want, I'm going to make up a title, but they want a technical level designer on the art side writing tools, right? And that's what they want. And they go, can you make me loads of those at your university, please? But the students coming out, they need to have a general knowledge if this is the industry or the skills they're going to do, right? Like, of course, you have science. I'm going to go into another thing. You might have computer scientists, and you teach them the basics of computer science, and you teach them programming in different ways, and you teach them different things. Sorry, I didn't do a computer science degree, so I can't really tell you all the things they teach you. But it means that you come out, and then you might be programming it in a programming language that you've never touched before, but you have the tool set to adapt throughout your life, right? Into your 30s and 40s and 50s, not just that first job at AAA that you're trying to get straight out of university.
I think just off what you're saying there, that's why it's as a designer in general, level design or game design, it's important to have an understanding of the fundamentals of whether it be coding, it be art, it be node-based stuff. You don't necessarily have to be able to write the code or whatever, but if you can understand the fundamentals of how it's structured or how it talks to something, it's going to make you, the conversation you have with a programmer when you request that feature or you are explaining a bug to them, it's going to make it easier for you to have that conversation and make it 10 times easier to make the right tool for you and also be able to fix the issue that's arisen from when you were actually finally trying to implement it, which we all know. When you finally try to test something, that's when all the real issues arise, right? It's like in theory, on paper, everything sounds great. I'll put it in, it'll just work. That doesn't really happen. But if you know yourself where it breaks down, you can't fix it yourself necessarily. Some people, sure, they probably can because they're more technically minded. But you know who to go to, who to talk about, who's responsible for fixing this area of the game.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that all games would be better if we all knew C++. If we all spoke fluently C++, then games would be better. But that's not the reality. So we're all different people and strive for different things. But if a really top tier artist that's making beautiful characters and beautiful art also knew the backbone and also knew the programming and all the intricate bits, the games would definitely be better. But we're all different, so we have to strive to at least be able to communicate with each other. So that's why I try to crack open that box. So I have a lot of students that come into the school being quite single-minded. I want to do this. I'm only art focused. Oh no, I can't do technical stuff. I don't have it in me. But I break them down and build them up. And in the end, they all know how to do it.
Yeah, it sounds like a military thing. It's like first we break down the man and then we pull them back together and then
I think if you ask a couple of students, I think that's close to it. Yeah.
Level design push-ups.
It's quite hard paced. The entire school is quite hard paced. A lot of them outsiders think of the school as university studies. But university studies are it's more academic. You sit at home, studying at your own pace, and then maybe once or twice a week go to a lecture and maybe have some group projects. But
this is what someone said to me was like, you are reading for a degree. That's what it says, reading in between, because you have to do a lot of reading beforehand. But this is not that, right?
No. So it's more. We try to simulate a working environment, but a lot of students think it's actually slightly worse than that, because the first part of the day we do individual courses and I try to exercise them in level design, and then the second part of the day they do group projects, cooperating with artists and programmers and technical artists and animators, cobbled together in a motley crew of game designers, making a game on their own. And then they kind of bringing back the game design part of it, then they kind of holistically becomes game designers. So all of them, the entire group, it's a super flat structure, no producers or no nothing. They just have to work on their soft skills and make it happen. And they all become game designers. They all have to make the decisions on what makes a game tick. So it strengthens them, and also these that everybody talks about, the soft skills, learning to communicate with all the different parts of a game studio. They get that as well. But then it's so frantic, this like 50-50 thing. So when they actually get out into the industry and start making real games, a lot of them tell me like, oh man, it's not stressful at all. What's going on here?
Wow, I don't want to know what's going on.
I thought it would be hard to make games.
But university is actually like that. I remember doing, I don't know how the education in Sweden is, but we study till 16 and do A levels, which is quite intense, 2 years before university. And then I thought, well, after these 2 years of A levels, like university is going to be easy. But it was pretty intense, right? So, like, this is what 3-4 year degrees are a lot of stuff going into your brain in a pretty short period of time. Even though at that age,
you kind of choose your own pace there, and the universities that I've gone to is a little bit more chill, maybe.
Okay. I mean, but I'm just saying generally the amount of knowledge that you get and trying to put into people's heads in 3 years
it's
is
a
quite...
lot in a short space of time, because it's a lot. It's not super focused either, so it's usually there's a broad range of knowledge they're trying to give you, so then you as the student can choose to specialize by the time you get to your final year. But it's also quite hard because you've just been bombarded for the last 3 years with all this stuff. Then it's like, okay, which bit do I actually like? Did I learn enough about this subject enough to see I like it? And that's where it gets really hard, like, to make that choice.
Yeah.
One thing that I really and the way that you came to my attention was the way that you've so beautifully studied putting a language around level design. So in I'm just going to go back to computer science because I know a little bit more about that. There was a book called Design Patterns by the Gang of 4 programmers, and they kind of codified solutions to problems, or so that now you could say do the facade pattern when you're trying to solve a problem like this. This is the domain. It doesn't tell you how to implement it. It doesn't tell you the nuts and bolts. It just says this is the pattern that you can use, the solution for this kind of problem. And when I started seeing the little drawings that you were making, because that's a better way to explain it, I went, oh, wow, level design patterns. This is amazing, because what led you to that? Is this like just coming out of the classes? But
no, it's not just coming out of the classes. It's a big experiment from my side to try to quantify and to put complex theories and stuff that we level designers, we're all level designers, that we kind of just have a sense of, that you trial and error, and we just, of course I should do it like this, but how? What's going on here? Why? How do you think here? Wait, tell me, how do you do this? Like, I just do it and try to explain that in a sensible way. I do that all the time in my classes, obviously, but then it's more, I look over the shoulder at my students and commenting on their actually work. And maybe if you move this thing over there, look how everything opens up and blah 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 blah.
Right.
It's very there and
context in context
exactly.
to their work, right?
Exactly, but and then I came to realize that how they need to bring this tool set with them. I can't just expect them to remember every single line that I say during 2 years. So how do they actually like build their backpack of knowledge above just trial and error and making maps and maps and maps? How do I actually word all the different stuff that I talk about and make them somewhat understandable? So it's an ongoing experiment, and you guys are my rabbits that I tried on.
Oh yeah, no, I've been eating that lettuce.
Wow.
I've been nibbling on that.
Some things
tweets.
work and some things don't, but I try to hone down and try to like squeeze the juice out of the apples or something, and try to realize, okay, how do we actually make all of this? Can we actually make some kind of vocabulary that we can unify around? Because you all know this, that the games industry, I mean, it's totally out of control. Everybody's have their own way of doing stuff, and we have all learned how to do stuff in the basement of our homes
And I think it's worse in design, right? Because if you work in programming or in an art, you already have the knowledge from actual art and actual like coding and whatnot. But when you come to design, and this is about making an interactive experience, the field hasn't really expanded or like evolved in that to create a vocabulary. So the thing is, you go work somewhere for the first time, and unless you were involved in Twitter or reading interviews or watching dev diaries, you wouldn't know the vocabulary. They might tell you, hey, we're doing this, and they say an abbreviation, and you don't know what that means, for example. And I think it's pretty cool that you're trying to like sort of like unify the experience, because I think it needs it, like the interactive experience design. It might not be specifically for AAA games. It might also be just any sort of like interactive experience. It still needs a vocabulary.
Yeah, I think so too, and we will get there in the end. I mean, it's impossible for us to continue in 100 years that we all kind of have our studio basis of doing things. The closest thing to a level designer is basically an architect. An architecture has been around for thousands of years, and they have built this vocabulary and this way of doing stuff. This works and this don't work, and you can do it like this, and a lot of rules that they actually teach, and so all the architects are kind of prepared in a unified way, and then they can branch out and become star players and top architects and do crazy stuff, but they all stand on the same foundation. And we're nowhere near that in level design especially, but in design in general. But level design is so young and so immature, and we need to,
and I don't think it's technology driven. I mean, it's young, and it's experience driven, because as you say, there's architect. I was looking around for my 101 things I learned in architecture school book. There we go. A great example.
Where's the camera?
Yeah, it's a lovely little book.
Marketing.
Yeah, marketing. We're going to have a
all the books. Bring all the books.
Okay, I feel bad.
Do we all have it? Jonathan wants to.
I have it.
We need to all put it at the same time. Stay silent for 2 seconds and then pull it back with no comments, just to have an effect.
Yeah, but it's kind of like the thing, something popping out, and all the level designers kind of like, ooh, look, some rule set. And
I remember the bait and switch a drawing that you put online, because at the same time I was playing The Last of Us 2, and I was finding a lot of that. And I think you kind of released that, the bait and switch, and I think you released it at the same time. And I remember reading through it. I'm like, yes, I've been seeing this in The Last of Us for like throughout the whole game, and that's a cool way to like express something. You say bait and switch, that's a vocabulary, and you know exactly what it means, and maybe it evokes specific feelings and whatnot, and then you can try and apply that. So when someone tells you, you'll know already what that means.
What I found really interesting was a discourse around each of, like, your little people search out Tommy and sees images. We'll put a link to his thing in the description below. But it's a discourse that happens each time you post something, because you see a whole bunch of people from all across the industry or different places go, no, we call this so-and-so. We call this, you know, and you go like, there it is. That's the problem, right? Because you might have people that have switched studios or, you know, gone to different places. And now you're talking about, I learned that, for example, corridors were called sausages, you know?
I never heard of that.
I never heard that.
Yeah.
Or like what we call a main hub that splits into other
the hub
hubs.
And
I heard like it's called like a hand also, because it can be split up into other rooms, and then you've got the main palm area. So it's like there's so many names you don't even know what is what.
Hand seems very weird. That seems very unique or specific to.
Was it a Bioshock term? I think it might have been a Bioshock. I could be mistaken though.
That's the point of this, right? We need this standardization, because in the industry, you usually move around a lot, whether it's from job to job, like you're pursuing a new project or whatever, but you don't want to have to relearn. You've got all this knowledge, right? And then you go and you start trying to apply that knowledge, and then people like they don't know what you're talking about or whatever because they've got their own internal understanding. So you have the same, you know how to do all this stuff as individuals, but you can't communicate it about because you both call stuff different things. It is getting a little bit better now, but something like this, if we could unify it and have something, if I just say like bait and switch, every studio knows what it means. It's like I give feedback on the level. Oh, bait and switch would go good there. Someone just knows what to go and do with it. We need more standardization like that.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of studios just do it. I mean, if you look at the bait and switch, it's been around for forever. I mean, I posted some examples from Half-Life 2, and that's like 200 years old.
Precisely.
So it's been around forever and ever, and I don't even think that they really could verbalize what they were doing.
Yeah, they didn't know what
it just felt right. Yeah.
I think the main problem with finding a vocabulary for design is that let's just say you start with the theory, like Jonathan said, is like, oh, let's make the bait and switch, and then suddenly, oh, we're gonna have enemies. Or suddenly the light doesn't make it work, or something else happens, and the game evolves, and it adds up so much in that area. And the main idea at the beginning that you had, the bait and switch, might be gone by then, and then it's a different experience, and then you don't know what to name that, so you just don't. And it's kind of hard because it's a lot of psychology, right? It's not just architecture, even though level design is architecture, but we can't just plainly follow the real life rules because people are boring and we're very predictable. Whereas in games, there's just so much stuff happening. There could be a swarm of flies coming from above, so it's not the exact same experience anymore as architecture. There's something else going on.
But this is what
we can't put our finger on.
It is, but it isn't. I mean, I still think what you're saying holds true in a lot of avenues, but it's also kind of it's the language that we can use to make the game better and better and actually iterate the game better and better if we just stay on the bait and switch. So if I, as a level designer, have implemented that into my blockout and then delivered that blockout with an intent of having that feature there, then I can kind of like talk to the environment artist when they start to massage the level and making it awesomely beautiful. I tried to bait the player there. We can't like put a really nice painting over there because then the player will look at that instead. So having those fundamentals and those guidelines, I think in the end serves a purpose for everyone to be kind of unified. But yeah, definitely everything gets clouded and gray in the end. So that awesomely placed tree that I did way back when in the blockout becomes something completely different later on.
And you don't always know what the player is also going to do. Maybe they'll just start like jumping around and miss that part that you as a level designer were trying to do. Maybe they were walking backwards. Maybe the AI started talking and they were listening to them instead of looking at following what the level is trying to tell them. So there's a lot of things that just pop up in the experience itself that you can't 100% predict, even though you try to make the level.
It's not so much as a prediction, I would say. It's more of a language. Like I saw the video by Peter Field that he did. He built a whole level in Dreams, and he was showing you like, you know, like. And I realized, like, you know, when you listen to experts talk, it's wonderful because they make it seem so easy. And they goes, oh no, you come around this corner and you can see the weenie through the crack in the wall. But
don't say weenie.
You know, he didn't say that. He said like, you know.
He didn't. I trust Peter. He didn't say weenie. So he actually used landmark.
Yes. I would use weenie, but. Exactly. So seeing a master doing it, but then he showed like 3 or 4 different things that were happening here, that
to guarantee they see it.
That guarantee that you see it, but then the next part. So now you see it. Now your next goal is you want to get there. So let me kind of ease you this way. And I can't remember the whole part about the thing at the time, but it's coming with these namings of the sequence of events so that you can say, we don't see the landmark well enough, just before the turnaround, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know, the terms. So you can name these areas with the benefits and the detraction of them, when it shouldn't be used. So you're able to say, this is a guide, we advise against using it, but it's the same thing as in music or creativity, like, don't paint with a stick. And I bet you there's an artist out there painting wonderful paintings using a stick. Do you know what I mean? It's,
yeah.
But so one thing that we haven't really talked about, Tommy, is that aside from this great enthusiasm that you have for teaching these students to do the right thing and to go out there and do the right thing, you've come from an awesome background of making games. You've had a great experience, including a game that Jonathan and I were saying we forgot about, which was Syndicate. There was a remake of Syndicate. By the way, I've played the original Syndicate. It was on my computer network in university, and I was like, what? There was a remake and no one told me?
I'm not gonna lie, I remember seeing the trailer for Syndicate remake. I was very confused.
The dubstep trailer.
I was very confused.
Of the time.
This looks quite cool, but this is not what I thought it was going to be.
No, there was a lot of backlash. It actually brought down the studio. So it was messy. Wow. We sold. It's so long time ago, so I can just talk numbers. I think we sold like 100,000 copies, and I think we had to recoup 2 million or something.
Okay, right.
So yeah, we were quite below the expectations, but yeah, we all kind of saw it coming. At the same time, they actually did a remake of XCOM as well, and that was also like a first-person experience with a lot of wacky aliens kind of things.
The Bureau, XCOM, the Bureau, was that it? Or was this
I do not remember the name, but I think it was canned. Because there was a massive backlash, because everybody was waiting for the proper XCOM follow-up, which eventually happened. But the first try was to make it a Call of Duty clone, basically. And that's the order that we got as well.
I remember
maybe some EA people is watching this stream now and will call me later. So EA was the publisher, and we basically... we have the Syndicate IP, and Call of Duty is selling really good. Let's make Syndicate Call of Duty.
Was there ever a version of that Syndicate reboot that was trying to be like the tactics, like true to its essence, or was it literally they came to you, we want this Call of Duty clone with
they contacted us for a reason. Starbreeze, at that given period of time, we were making... immersive first-person experiences.
Right.
So it was the Riddick, Chronicles of Riddick, and those kind of games. So it was really like this first-person gun-totting killer dudes. The Darkness, if you remember that one. Tentacle arms. I didn't work on that one.
I love that idea of like the Darkness when it first came. I was like, so weird. Love it.
Yeah. So we were contacted because we knew how to handle first-person experience. And they wanted to make like a narrative, story-driven saga in the Syndicate world. Which was a beautiful idea. I mean, we hooked onto it, and we really liked the idea. But we kind of realized that it would become a backlash because it was so different from the like the tactical top-down 4-person cyborg kind of thing
with a trench coat, which that's really sells the animations.
Yeah, but we tried our best, and I actually was part of the team that made the co-op branch for that game, and there we adapted it. So we were 4 agents cooperating, doing standalone missions in not even kind of the same, but almost exactly the same setup as the prequel, the original game. So I was the lead level designer there. So I actually looked at the exact maps from the original and then interpreted them into a first person experience.
Oh wow! Okay.
So if you're really in tuned to the Atlantic Accelerator, for example, like big base in the middle of the Atlantic, the layout is almost the same as the original game. Cool. You experience it from a completely different way.
Right.
Yeah. But it's there, and we did our best. So we had all the different maps from all the different regions. So the Argentina level mimics the layout from the original, and we have the Europe map, and we have all the different maps mimicking the play style and feel from the original. So we did our best, but
I think that's a nice approach. Like, to go back, it's like, obviously fans are doing an outcry for the original. You've got a first-person game, that's your core tool set, so you can't really do that. But to go back and actually bring the old maps and bring reference and ideas and how they were approached, and actually, like you say, show those from a new perspective is a nice way to like put a new spin on it and try and redeem something that the fans were backlashing against.
Yeah, I think there might be levels on that, but you also worked on a game that's one of my favorites. So rather than like doing it's a Just Cause 2, and I've been a fan of Just Cause because it's been such a...
Just Cause 2 was the best Just Cause.
Yeah, it was. Damn right. It's just this freedom of movement. I mean, I'm just going to put my level designer's hat on, and it was just like, well, you can go anywhere. Essentially, just do anything. QA must hate me. You know, it's like this... It's like you can basically do anything, blow up anything. Well, kind of, but, you know, it's so much fun. And, you know, I think that some other games have taken, I've been playing Ghost Recon Wildlands, and we've been trying to do Just Cause things in Wildlands. You know, jumping off things a lot, mainly. But
does it work?
No, you go splat.
It was really hard to level design for that kind of open-endedness. Open world is one thing, Just Cause is another thing, where you can basically just grapple hook a jet plane passing over, and then all of a sudden you're like 10 kilometers south.
Right.
I think with something like Just Cause, like I always thought it's a lot of fun. I can do all this stuff. I enjoy, you embrace that kind of stuff. But it is a toy box, right? It's like you just given like the grapple hook is the best toy you can probably get, and that's obviously built on in later games. It's been on the series for ages. But yeah, like trying to get the player to focus on, I don't know, an outpost, or to do this one very small area of a level was always quite
so we kind of scrapped that. So we tried to work with this system of having it more like a sandbox experience. So when I created, it was on me to and my world building team to make all the villages and harbors and military bases set out in the open world. We kind of surrendered to the fact that, okay, the player will just be here for a couple of seconds, blows shit up, and then move on. And that was kind of like the soul of the game. So it wasn't a true sandbox because you couldn't really tinker and do whatever. We had a rule set, but it was quite close to a sandbox that you could just roam around and blow shit up. And that was the main thing of the game. And we even implemented like a game design layer on that with a cows system. So it was meant to be played like that.
Okay.
So the DNA of the game kind of talked the same language. And that's where a lot of games kind of fail. And I think that's what resonated with people, why Just Cause 2 kind of took off and became a thing, because the entire game spoke the same language.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And it's I've tried to say this in various different contexts in lives. Is sometimes if you have a challenge or a part of the game or your job, sometimes you just have to lean in. Instead of trying to force it and cram something in, you just have to lean in and go like, all right, let's go full in on this. And you get much better results, right? So the bombastic, I'm not just going to gush about Just Cause, but I promise. But the bombastic attitude in that game gave you that like, hey, you know, you're going to go and do all of this, and you just go and do it, you know, and that from that design point of view, that then ties into the voice acting, to the obviously the dialogue.
I think the Stranting is a good example, right, of that, because everything, the mechanics and everything that's just been implemented in that game has the same kind of like tone, or it speaks the same language. Like the cutscenes can sometimes be very long, and there can be random weird stuff happening. So when you're out of that, you can also experience that in the world in the same, sometimes with the same mechanics. You can wear sandals instead of boots, and that will hurt your feet. And then when you go in your, I don't know what to call, like your room, and then your feet are bleeding, like it's kind of like follows the same kind of like you said, language. It doesn't stop in any point. It's like, I think that's one of the games that just leans all in, like you said, Mark.
Yeah, and if you think about it, there's been a lot of flack about the cutscenes being too long in his games. But if you think about it, for that particular game, it kind of fits, because what do? You just walk around and embrace the world and chill in a lot of places. So a lot of places when you actually play, it's cutscene-ish as well, in an enjoyable way, obviously, but it kind of brings it together. So even the long cutscenes finds a way into the DNA of the game. It's not something tacked on to tell a story.
It's not separate.
No, it's not separate.
And also, I mean, again, big fan of that game, but it also goes back into even the notes that you have in that game. Have that depth that everything else is like, okay, we're going to go deep in this, let's go deep, let's have a background, let's like, they've spent a lot of time. I'm always amazed about the amount of work that's gone into that game just of the writers. I'm just like, they must have had like so many people just writing away and coming mission designers.
Are you sure? Because the credit screen just said writer Hideo Kojima, so must have been all him.
He must have been busy on that.
All the notes.
Imagine. Oh god.
No, but we had notes and lore in the Syndicate game as well. But the Syndicate game was about running down a corridor and shooting a lot of stuff. So it kind of it did not talk. It did not talk the same language, and we interrupted the player with the cutscenes. So okay, now I have to lean back and watch, and then the cutscene is over. I lean forward and run down the corridor and shooting stuff. So we had a language problem there, and why it didn't really fit. So, and in the co-op part, I'm maybe it comes out as bragging, since I was working on the co-op. We kind of ignored that part, because now you were even 4 agents running around like crazy people and shooting a lot of stuff. So we ignored all the intricate lore and intricate stuff. We had a small briefing when you actually arrived at the mission, and then just on you go.
Start the mission and play.
Right.
Yeah. And let the world building and the setting telling the story instead. More like Left 4 Dead did in their way of just training through, like going like a train locomotive through the level to the next checkpoint, and then like huddling up in the safe house and then going on to the next one. We took a lot of inspiration from how Left 4 Dead did their kind of level design. So they told the story in the level, and then just let the players pick up on it or not.
And
I think
there's one thing about these games that I just wanted to pick up on. That kind of whole bunch of, your team versus the environment are games I absolutely love, right? Because compared to Call of Duty, sorry, I don't mean to lean into you, Call of Duty. It's like 4 mates and I playing Call of Duty is like suddenly a whole bunch of people are going to go and wipe us off the map like in 3 seconds. But I really enjoy this, like getting 3 or 4 friends and just going out at this world. And that, I think Syndicate I might have to re-experience, see if I can get a copy of that. See if do the game server still work? No.
I think it will be hard to boot that one up. I mean, Call of Duty does a lot of rights as well. There's some exceptionally good campaign works in some of the Call of Duty games. So they are experts. Sure.
I did not want to belittle them because I like punching upwards because they're making enough money. They don't care what I say, you know, like. But is this kind of small player co-op or like, and you worked on another one which was kind of like the Brothers Tales of Two Sons, which is like two thumb co-op, isn't it? That's basically.
It was a very good game.
Yeah, that was interesting because up until then, I've been doing more flamboyant chaos kind of level design, running and shooting in a lot of games. So having this this kind of more toned down, explorative saga kind of level design, it was still extremely linear. Super linear experience. You move from one objective to the next, but the tone and style was way more storytelling. So you had to kind of implement all the gameplay and all the level design way tighter into the story. And we had a mindset so that everything should be unique. You shouldn't really encounter the same thing twice. We didn't really achieve that because, for example, we had a rope climbing mechanic where you do a body push, or what you should call it, to help each other up a ledge. So we did that a couple of times in the game, but other than that, we tried to be as unique as possible in level design and in game design. So that was quite interesting and really fun to explore as a level designer.
And I think when it came out, it like blew people's heads because it was the way you played it was very different. You controlled two players, right, with the two thumbsticks, each one for each player, and you have to basically solve different unique puzzles in each area or whatever. But like you said, everything just felt. Even how the camera moved and how the levels, like I remember there were levels with were they soldiers that were like gigantic and there were arrows. I don't remember exactly, and that was just like they died and there was like blood flowing, so the blood became like for you because you're smaller, it looked like a little river or something. So all of that is just very different, and it kind of tied in with the story itself. Like that environment set a story. It was central to it. It wasn't just like, hey, it's a building you go through and you're out, and the story is what happens when you exit that building. It's like that environment was like very specifically made for a reason, and the whole game felt like that. And I think that was very unique back when it first came out.
Yeah, the funny thing is that the puzzles are super simplistic. There's a couple of puzzles that are slightly more complicated, but the focus and tone was way more on the narrative and bringing emotions to the player. So it was almost like a textbook example from a level designer perspective that, okay, I have this key in the lock. How many ways can I portray this key and the lock? So that's kind of what we did throughout the entire game. So, okay, now you should push open this gate using the two brothers, and now you should pull down this lever with a strong brother the same time as the little brother push through a narrow space, or another time you should push open the gate, but now it's not a gate, now it's an arm from a giant just laying across. But it's exactly the same things that you actually did over and over again, but just finding different ways to articulate the key and the lock. It's what we do on a daily basis, basically.
I think those are the best games for me, at least, because you use the same mechanic, but you portray it differently, and it feels different. The experience becomes different for the player, even though they are actually doing the same thing. For example, like Tomb Raider, right? The old games where you had to climb, it was just like a straight up wall and you climbed and that's it. Now, the new Tomb Raider games, it's still a straight wall that you just climb and you reach the top. But now things are falling down. Things are like the camera changes. Maybe she gets cut. Maybe you have to tap a button to hold on. But the path and the level is still the same. Still, you're going to push the stick up and you're still going to go up. But the experience is so different. Even though it's not like the mechanic has been innovated in any way, like in a crazy way.
No,
If you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it's really
definitely.
funny. I watched a show last night, and I'm not going to say which one it is, but it was basically like a travel show. They just went to hotels to see what they're like, and they literally had a mountain that had white bits on it. I was going, that's a Tomb Raider level. No, but reality, but it's a Tomb Raider level. So I was a bit like, okay, so are they copying from Tomb Raider, or is Tomb Raider copying from life?
You know, the Castle of Edinburgh here has a lot of white pigeon poop that sits on ledges. And the first time I saw it, I was like, wait a moment, that reminds me of Tomb Raider. I know exactly where to climb now because I can see the ridges.
Tried climbing it yet? Have you tried to climb it yet? That's the next step, right?
I'm just going to say gloves. Gloves might... Wash your hands afterwards. That's what I'm saying.
That's really hard for us to kind of be to showcase where the player is supposed to go, show the path, but not really writing it on the nose. So we want to kind of in the blockout and in the white box. I know white box isn't like, that's one of the terms that's widely spread all over the place. But for me, a white box is where you actually have gameplay implemented. So what I teach my students is the blockout is the sense of space, where you feel the space of the level, and when you enter white box, you actually make it playable. So in this white box, in this playable state, we kind of articulate all those things with markings, really colorful markings. And we so want that to kind of end up in the final game because it's way easier to play it. But then we railroad the player. So then they stop thinking about the quest and they just go for it. Okay, a yellow marking or pigeon poop. I'm supposed to go there. They stop thinking. So it's kind of like how you balance that. That's also the work for us for the last line of the defense, the level designers, to kind of safekeep. Okay, we don't want the player to railroad, but how should we keep it readable?
Yeah.
And
I think it also depends on the game, right? Sorry.
And there's also like a dialogue between the level designer and the player. And as a player, I'm not just going to put that hat on. Sometimes I'm playing and I'm having a conversation with the level designer because, like, you want me to go there, right? But I know that you want me to go there, but you've hidden something behind there, haven't you? Yeah. There's going to be a monster behind that door because I know how like having that gun ammo before a room. You go like, okay, right, baddie behind here. But I think it's those conversations that are nice to have, and again lean into sometimes because you go like, aha, I tricked you, and that's the joy in some games. Do you know what I mean? That being tricked by somebody that you've in a nice way.
But it's also kind of like again bringing back the DNA of the game. So if you have the guns, if you enter an area and it's a super obvious combat bowl where you have covers lined up and guns and ammunition all over the place, you kind of know that there will be enemies, even though they're not enemies there yet. Uncharted do that all the time, for example, but the DNA of the game allows it, because it kind of becomes this narrative curve of it. So, okay, I'm having this traversal moment, and then I have a puzzle moment, and then I have a combat moment. They don't try to hide it. This is our game. This is our game. This is what we are.
It's like Mirror Search too, right? Like Mirror Search is the exact opposite. It's all about flow and running and traversal. So you don't want to hide those ledges or those pipes or whatever you're gonna climb on. You want to highlight them, and it's the opposite. But it works for the game, right? It works for what it was trying to do. You don't want people to think, oh, where am I gonna go next? You just want to parkour. So it's the opposite, but it uses the correct language, and in that case.
White city with bold colors. There we go. Never get lost.
There you go. But I mean, that's how we're going to design games from now on. That's it. Those are the two colors that you need. Full stop. Done. Maybe blue. I don't
Like
know.
super hot is like 1-2 colors, like mainly like red and white, so it's very easy to distinguish
Red,
who
white,
you're trying to
and
shoot.
You should never miss an enemy, basically. You should always be able to tell where the enemy's coming from, where it's shooting at you from, and things like that.
Because the point is to have fun and be able to shoot them in slow-mo, not to figure out, is there an enemy like somewhere?
Yeah, you want to feel like a badass. Like that's ultimately.
Well, I think that game kind of it's more of an art style choice, I would think, because they kind of pause it all the time. So even if the enemies were wearing ghillie suits, you would be able to kind of spot them.
True.
That too.
So I think it's because it's an indie game and they chose that as an art style. But for example, for the Mirror's Edge, it's way more convenient when you're steaming ahead, running really fast. You don't want to misstep and jump off the building in the wrong place.
Because that crunch when you hit the bottom. But Tommy, it's been a pleasure talking to you. So that we're going to put your contact details down below, but best place to contact you on Twitter or email?
I guess Twitter, yeah.
Or turning up at the university going, let me in, I want to be the future of level design.
No, that would be a bad idea. So yeah, I actually try to reply to everything that I receive on Twitter. Sometimes I fail because there were some tweets that kind of became too big for me. So I was flooded. So yeah, but I do my best. So if there's something, Twitter is the way to go. I'm having the slightly awkward the Norberg as handle.
Well, you are the Norberg to us. So. Thank you very much, and I bid you all a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
The Level Design Podcast has been a Command Studio production. Our editor is Matthew Lever, and this episode has been produced by Bridie Rose.